Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of our podcast. I decided to call it Kokopo until we get a better name, at least. Kokopo sounds kind of cute. It stands for, of course, K0noa, Cody, and podcasts, and then all the zeros linked to each other. Yeah, we're back, and let me just say that I was very happy with the feedback that I got from you guys. A lot of you seem to like this podcast format. As I said, it is in a very early stage yet. Again, this episode will be audio only with pre-recorded gameplay footage in the background of not just me but also Cody. Um, and since this last week, not a whole lot of news has been going on, especially on in terms of PC gaming. We will talk a little bit about some topics that we came up with ourselves. And we will probably introduce that we talk a little bit about trailers. We have only one trailer today, but I thought it might be a cool idea if every week both Cody and me would show each other a trailer and then talk about that. So would have a small trailer talk every week about two trailers or something. Doesn't matter if the other guy really doesn't have anything particular with the shown trailer, but at least it'll give us something to talk about. So, before we go talk about the trailer of today, let's of course start with the first topic that we always talk about what we've been playing last week. And of course, we had some pretty big releases going on last week. And why not, Cody, begin with what have you been playing last week?
I actually really haven't been playing much. I played a little Eve, but that's on the side because that's an MMO. I dabbled a little bit in Alien Isolation, but that was about it, to be honest.
How long did you play Alien Isolation?
I probably not long at all. Probably like 15 minutes, not that long.
15 minutes, okay, not that long. Now, you didn't decide to actually film it. Is there a particular reason why? Was it too much hassle to just set it up?
I think I'm just gonna wait and see how big my YouTube channel expands, because at this point I'm not really too worried about like what I put on my channel, what kind of content. I had my first video up and I did go in depth a little bit what I have planned for the future, but since how I have like pretty much under 10 subscribers, there's not really a point to. Yeah,
All right. In the beginning, it goes slow, but you got to start somewhere, I guess. So that's fine. So okay, so only 50 minutes. That it might be a problem because I played a lot more. But if that is the only thing that you've been playing, that was quick. So obviously, we're going to talk about Alien Isolation in a bit, but let me first talk about the other big release that came out, which was Shadows of Mordor. Now, I downloaded the game. The game is incredibly big. What a download. It is 45 gigs of a download, and that is with the HD content. So, the moment that you first download the game, and it is kind of, I see it as false advertisement. In the options menu, there is a option to turn the textures to ultra. And in very small letters, it says that if you do not have the HD content, which you can download for free separately on Steam, but if you do not have that installed, the textures will actually not be ultra, but will be high, even if you put the option on ultra. So I didn't know that at first, so I downloaded the freaking update that was like 20 gigabytes or something, and the game does indeed look gorgeous. Plays also really well, but I'm having this weird issue where the first 10 minutes that I'm playing, the game runs really smoothly. I'm not getting 60 frames, but I'm getting 40, 45 frames per second. Sometimes some busy areas drop a little bit, but still very playable. But then after a while, it starts to dip to like 8 frames per second and then back to like 40, and it's really weird. I've been trying a lot. I actually play tested it a little bit yesterday. I played something without recording. I actually reinstalled it and I verified the game cache and everything, and it seemed to run smooth again. So hopefully from now on I can record just fine again. But the game is actually really impressing me. So the game have obviously, like I said, before I started the game, I checked out some review scores, and the reviews have been outstanding for this game. And I've read also some reviews that actually did not agree with that. Now, what is really cool about the game itself is indeed the Nemesis system. I mean, let's be fair, the game is indeed very much a Assassin's Creed / Batman Arkham stealer. Now, the Batman Arkham doesn't really matter that much because obviously it's being published by Warner Brothers, and they have the Arkham rights as well. So the battle system is literally the same as in the Batman games. But I realized that there weren't too many other games that mimicked Assassin's Creed, and Assassin's Creed is such a big franchise nowadays. I mean, it is incredible how many millions of units each Assassin's Creed game sells. I mean, each winter you see that it's the Call of Duty and the Assassin's Creed games that sell all those millions of units. And I think there are maybe now like 7 titles or something. And I mean, Assassin's Creed is now a franchise that, you know, won't disappear for a long time, and each year a new part comes out. I mean, it's like a FIFA game, and almost sort of genre defining. And I'm kind of surprised that it took so long for actually sort of a copy to get here. And I realized while playing Shadows of Mordor that I actually don't mind that. It's fun gameplay, running through the landscape and climbing on top of walls, and it is smooth. And in that Lord of the Rings setting, I actually really like that. But, as I said, the real big power is the Nemesis system, which of course the game itself is actually promoting itself to. And what this means is that basically the whole game revolves around you killing these bosses, right? So you start out low with just really low rank captains, and if you kill or if before you kill those captains, you gain some intel on like a higher ranked target, and then that target becomes available on your map. You go and kill him, and so on and so on. The game itself doesn't seem very long. There are only 20 main missions, and after like 2.5 hours, I'm already on like mission 5, so I'm 25% in terms of a main story mission. So I guess if you only do the main story missions, the game is about 7-ish hours, which I first thought that the game would actually be longer. But to get back to the Nemesis system, so what's really cool is that obviously in that open world you have all these different enemies, all these patrols and stationary guards, archers on the lookout, just regular units. What is really cool about the game is that where, for example, in Assassin's Creed you are very powerful, right? One, you know, Altair or whoever the fuck you are can basically manhandle up to like 15 guards or something and come out of it unscathed. Here it is very difficult. The enemy is very brutal. It is also partly because you have like these finishing moves, and in most games when you do a finishing moves, your character becomes invulnerable in order to let that animation flow out. Here it's not. So when you do a finishing move, your character will obviously focus only on that target, but all the enemies are free to actually then stab you in the back, and you actually are not able to take a whole lot of hits. So dying is definitely something that's going to happen. But what's very cool then is that the guy that killed you, and this can be any random dude, will then actually get a title, be promoted, and get into that rank of bosses that you eventually need to kill. So this random archer guy killed me, and he was a nobody, an absolute nobody. And suddenly he killed me, and so the game actually gave him a name. The names are randomly generated, I gotta give it that. And the strength and the weaknesses that each boss has, which are like perks, are randomly generated as well. But for example, I got a guy called, I don't know, Mordor the Painted, and he had all this war paint on his face. And suddenly he became this more important character for me, and he was rising in the ranks of the bosses that I need to kill. Um, and you have the option then to target that guy, and you can immediately kill him. But some of the bosses will actually flee, which means that you will actually face them off again. And what's kind of cool is obviously that they remember, and this is obviously scripted, but when you face them, they will say funny things like, ha, you know, I killed you once, I can kill you again. Or if they fled, you know, they say like, oh, I have a second chance to kill you. And you get these kind of like personalized boss battles where you're like, okay, you know, finally I'm gonna put you down, I'm gonna put you to the ground, or I'm gonna take revenge for that time when you killed me. And that is something that is very cool. They will also get scars, for example, when you burn them, they will actually be mutilated in their face or in their arm or something that will be black, and it's just very cool. And actually the first sort of real next gen thing that I've seen uh, of the titles. Then again, the game will actually come out for Xbox 360 and PS3 in November, so it's not really that much of a next gen title. But still, I am pretty blown away by the game, except for, like I said, that weird the weird frame rate issue that I'm having. But hopefully that should be fixed, and it is a blast to play. Control wise, it's great. Graphics are amazing. Maybe the only critique that I have there is you only play in Mordor, and Mordor isn't really the sunniest of places, so it looks a little bit dull and gray sometimes in terms of the environments. But the character models are amazing, and voice acting is also actually very cool. So it is that. I mean, I don't know if you have anything to say. I know you weren't very much interested in Shadow of Mordor, right?
No, not yet. Not right off the bat, because I'm kind of limited to what I can buy right now. I was gonna ask you too. So with now you said that when you like download the game by itself without the HD packet, the highest setting is only high.
Correct.
And the HD settings, don't you need like 4 gigs of video RAM to run it or something like that?
You need for the Ultra you need 6 gigs. That is correct. And for high,
6 gigs.
Yes, there are.
Wow.
I've been told that in terms of video cards, there are almost none or something available that can handle that.
The Titan. That's a $3,000 graphics card though.
Yeah. So yeah, in terms of that, like texture wise, I think medium was recommended for me. High is also pretty much fine. But yeah, like I said, I have that weird issue where, you know, the game normally runs on 40, but suddenly drops. But yeah, I mean, even in high or even medium, I guess it is still absolutely gorgeous. I mean, obviously the big thing that we PC owners have over the console is that we can run it at 1080p, and it just looks beautiful.
Yeah.
Are you actually like, do you like those Assassin's Creed type games?
Yeah, I really liked Assassin's Creed Black Flag. I'm excited for Unity because it's a 4-player co-op and the customization in it look really good. I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna get Rogue just because it seems like I don't know. It's kind of weird that they're releasing Rogue around the same time they're releasing Unity. So to me, it's like, yeah, it's a franchise, but it seems like they're rehashing a lot of stuff because it's almost the same thing as Black Flag, just the environment is different.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how if people will label Rogue as like the absolutely watered down version or as a quick cash grab. I'm really wondering how that's going to be. I mean, I believe you actually play a Templar, right? In Rogue, you play the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, in terms of Rogue, I really have not been keeping a close eye on that because you know, it was the previous version, and yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's gonna be interesting. I mean, it will probably come to PC as well, since they are actually also porting all those PSP titles and everything to PC. So
Yeah.
eventually, I will probably play it, but it doesn't really have the highest priority at the moment.
Yeah. Same.
Mm-hmm. All right, so that was the Assassin's Creed. So let's talk about the big one, huh? The big game that came out this week, the Alien Isolation. So obviously, since you're not that far, I'm not going to talk about the story at all. I am going to talk about some events though, without spoiling anything. But okay, let's just talk about both Cody and I have only played the regular game yet, not any of the DLC that is available. Obviously, I will get into that later. I'm actually even thinking about recording some Survivor gameplay for this podcast, but I got the warning that if I would play the Survivor mode before I finish the campaign, that some things might have been spoiled. I guess they will. I guess what the Survivor mode is, and this is purely a guess, is like Slender or something, where you are in this space station and all the enemies will come after you, and it's basically how long can you survive. It's survival mode, I guess. And because they probably will throw everything at you, you might get spoiled in terms that you already will see certain enemies that you haven't encountered yet in the any campaign.
Is that survival mode? So is it like a horde mode or something? So I'm not really
I don't know. I haven't played
familiar.
it and I haven't even seen it. But what I'm thinking is the alien will probably be chasing you, and there might even be other enemies as well. Um, and it's basically you go around the ship and you see how long it survives, or you survive. It's basically like Slender, how Slender, though Slender does have an ending where you get all 7 pages. But think of it as Slender, as in that gradually he becomes, I guess, more aggressive, and you just see how long you can survive. There are those type of horror games out there, and I would guess that this is kind of the same thing. The I guess the original idea about that is that the alien is chasing you in a non-scripted way. So the alien has its own AI and decides where to go and when to go.
Mhm.
And I guess that mode optimally uses that, because even though that feature is also in the single-player campaign, there is still a lot of scripted things going on there.
Uh-huh.
So you have not encountered the alien yet. Let me just say that the build up to the game is amazing. It is really great. So very atmospheric. Um, Again, though, like I said, graphically it's not ugly, but I wasn't blown away. Also in terms of the animations, um, but uh, it really does a good job to hold that tenseness of what is going to happen. And I've been thinking about it while I was playing, why that is. And a really bad example of a horror game, in my opinion, is the game Dead Space. Dead Space actually gets a lot of praise from people, especially the first one, for being scary. And I disagree completely. The monsters in Dead Space are being shown immediately, and you immediately lose sort of like the threat feeling because you see the monster. And what's interesting about the Alien game is that everybody who plays that game knows what's gonna come after them. The strength of some horror games is that you won't know what the enemy is or what the monster will look like. People had that with Amnesia, people knew, okay, there's gonna be a monster probably, no idea what it looks like. The monster wouldn't show up until like 2 hours into the game, so those whole 2 hours, people were like, "Oh, I wonder, is it gruesome?" Like they only got hints. They saw a shadow or they heard a growl, but really didn't have any idea. And here's the opposite, where everybody obviously knows what's gonna happen, what the monster's gonna look like. Um, and even then, they do a couple of smart things to. To build that tenseness, and it takes longer than you think before the alien actually shows up. But there was another thing that I realized that really works great: the power of the Alien movies. And like I said, I've seen the Alien movie again before the game came out. I did it with my girlfriend though, which wasn't too smart, because though I really liked it, and my girlfriend is older than I am, she wasn't blown away, especially because the build up is pretty long, and it is. But I actually really like that. It does take a while before something happens, but I guess she needs more stimulation in that way. But really the power with that as well is that in the movie you really don't see a lot of the alien until the very end, and even in the end you really don't see a lot. So you usually see a tail or some drool coming out, and then a close-up of the mouth, or just a quick second of the alien. And it's the same mechanic that movies like Jaws used, where the whole movie you just see the fin or the tail or whatever, and until the very end the monster is revealed. And a lot of good monster movies really do that. I mean, ironically we were talking about Cloverfield today in class. Same thing, the monster isn't revealed until the very end of the movie. And most horror games, and I'm going to take Outlast now as an example, actually cannot wait to show you what the guy or the monster or whatever it is that's going to chase you, what he looks like. And you need to run away, but they will show a glimpse of the enemy first, and it's usually a horrible looking disfigured man or something, and it's very scary looking. But because people here know already what is going to chase them, the alien itself is so much more powerful. The moment that the alien sees you and has you in its sights, you're dead. It is so much faster than you are. Like, I wasn't scared anymore of the alien itself, but I still had moments where when it saw me and it would screech the loudest roar, I screamed my lungs out while I ran away, just looking for a locker or something, and it was all in vain. He is so quick that, it's ridiculous. And I realized as well that in games like Outlast, where you have a lot of chase scenes, that is actually part of the gameplay. A lot of the scary things is that you are being chased and you need to get away. Whereas here it's different, because like I said, the alien is actually so fast that chase scenes are futile. You will die if there's a chase going on. So it is very tense of not getting into those chase scenes, of hiding or going very slow, going prone, hiding in lockers. One thing that I think is very cool though is that even if you hide in a locker, there's still this tenseness, where in Outlast the AI, if you're in a locker, will never actually check that locker until I guess in the very late game there's a moment where they can. But in Alien, if you stay in the same locker the whole time, the alien will eventually find you. They will get into the room and he will open the locker and you're fucked. There's a mechanic though where you can actually hold your breath and he will not smell you or whatever the fuck that's about, or hear you. But a funny thing there is that if you hold your breath for too long, you will actually take damage. And the alien will take its time to sniff. And if you stop holding your breath, the alien will immediately smell or hear you and rip you to shreds. And that is very cool because that actually had some tension where you're taking damage, but you don't want to stop pushing the button to hold your breath because that alien thing is just around the corner. So in terms of that, I think it's brilliant, and I was very skeptical at first, and I said this multiple times in my videos, of actually the AI of the alien. So, things have been promised where the alien would have its own AI and would hunt you actively, but would never react the same. And I was like, well, that sounds like much, that sounds like a lot of promise that might not be made true. And to my surprise, there was this section where I walked through a lobby and I heard all these noises in the pipes above me, and I was like, oh shit, he's moving. But I thought it was scripted, and I walked through this small hallway, and just a few meters ahead of me, he popped out of a vent, immediately saw me and killed me. And I was like, okay, well, now I know that he will pop out there, so now I'm prepared and I'm gonna go slow there. So I walked through the lobby and I still heard him. So I guess in certain ways it is scripted that he will be in certain areas at a certain time, but he didn't show up. He didn't pop out of the vent at all, and I walked through that whole section without even seeing him. And that I thought was absolutely brilliant in terms of just how tense it actually is. Now, it can also be kind of a weakness. I had this part where I was in a locker, and the alien was in the room, and he would leave the room, and then when he left the room, I would leave the locker, but he would then immediately come back into the room, and I would go back into the locker, and I was like, okay, well, I'm not too sure what he's doing now, but then he left the room again, I left the locker, and he immediately came back into the room, and I went in the locker again. I was like, make up your goddamn mind, motherfucker. But yeah, that was pretty interesting. Now, I do have some issues, though. I'm going to leave it at here because I'm about 5 hours or something into the game, and I don't want to spoil anything else for Cody. There's going to be some very interesting things. But let's just say before that the game, it took a long while for me to actually be scared, and I think that the game, more than anything, is really, really tense than scary. It is just you're sitting there with sweat on your palms, just crawling, and the sound design is amazing, and I think that the alien sections are amazing, and then it absolutely works. But there are two big problems that I have with the game, and one of them is the save system, and it is weird because some people I heard were actually praising the save system. It is a save system where you need to manually save. You know, since you play, you know what I'm talking about. You have those telephones that you put the cards in, and then the game will save, and there's actually no option to manually save in between those. I guess the reason why they did that is so that the game wouldn't get bugged or unplayable, since the alien would be unscripted. But since the sections with the alien take so long, since you're sneaking, since you're crouching and everything, I've had many times where the alien would eventually find me, kill me, and I would be set back literally 20 or 25 minutes and had to do that over again because I hadn't found any save point up to that point. And it goes even so far that there are sections where you get cutscenes in between and it doesn't save, and it's ridiculous. Save system is I think is absolutely horrible, and I learned it the hard way too, where the game crashed and I lost that progress, and because of this, and also this is an absolute tip for you: save at every fucking telephone, because man, like in the loading screen it says that it has an autosave function or something, but autosave function my ass. Yeah, it is an absolute flaw.
What difficulty are you playing it on?
I'm playing on hard. It actually said that it is recommended on hard. I actually recommend do not play it on hard.
I think hard says that they disable autosave.
Oh, does it? Well, actually, never mind then. I'll take my words back. Apparently, there is autosave in there, but I'm just fucked. One thing, obviously, that's really cool about hard is that you're very fragile. So even like gunshots, you're dead in 3 shots, which is actually very cool. It really means that you can't fight anybody. Apparently, though, the alien or other enemies will notice you a lot earlier, and I had this problem with the stealth system where I was hiding under a bed and I made some noise, and these enemies were coming and looking for me, and they were literally standing against the bed that I was hiding under. Their legs were glitching through, were basically touching me, and they didn't find me. And the AI got bugged out, and they would not actually leave.
There forever.
Yeah, no, it was horrible. And the alien shows up later at the so I reload the game and I'm at the exact same hiding spot, and the alien shows up and he just sees me from way afar. Now the alien has heightened senses, it says, so that kind of makes sense. But then after that, I'm hiding under another bed, and the same enemy type that got stuck under that bed and didn't see me at all, even though they were pretty much humping against me, saw me also from afar. So I was a little bit iffy about that. Normally, I think that the overall stealth game kind of works, but it's not all that. You get some weird things. But So the save thing is a minor thing. Some people actually praise the save system for having a feeling of accomplishment when you actually get to save. I do not though. Especially like I said, I understand that if you're in the middle of like an alien chase, you can't really do a save because you're in the middle of something. But you know, after you get into certain doors or something, I would prefer it if they actually had that too in hard mode, but or after cutscenes. So that's kind of weird. But apparently, indeed, if I'm doing on hard, it might actually be my own fault. So that might not be too much of an issue. However, and I've talked to K0noa about this before, I have been having a huge number of bugs in the game, and I'm not talking about the alien itself, haha. Now, it started off, and I deleted this footage, and I should have kept it, I guess, but I've started off in the part that you have been played, where you wake up out of the sleeping pod, and you go talk to this British guy in the medical bay, and after that, you need to go through a small hallway where you will meet the rest of the team. I don't know what they did, but the door to the medical bay and the door of the hallways to the other team members were closed, and I couldn't do anything to open it. I wandered around for like 15 minutes and I couldn't do it, and I figured, well, the game is bugged, and I reloaded it, and indeed, all of the doors were now just open. I didn't have to push anything, it was just bugged, but, you know, I couldn't continue the game. Then there were slight annoyances, like you have obviously these computers that you log on to where you read stuff. One time, like you read emails and information sent by other NPCs. One time it didn't load properly, like the screen was blank, so I quit out of that and I got back into it, and then it would actually properly load. Very small issue, but still annoying. I had some floating weapons. Still, all of that is kind of forgivable, yo. And, you know, a lot of games do have some of those bugs. Let's see, what else? I had 2 game crashes. Now, that might not have to do with the game, that could be a system thing. However, I had things where in certain sections, the audio would go missing. I had a cutscene where there was no audio. I had a... you actually have that now. You played until the point where you get that thing where you open the doors with, right?
Yeah, the little wrench thing.
Correct. So I had sections where I would open the door and there would actually be no sound there. But, for example, the most annoying parts is that I've had now times where I would go into a PC to check some stuff, and the game would not let me get out of that screen. You press Q to actually get out of that, which I think is a stupid idea. I don't know why they did that. I guess they want to simulate the keyboard.
I use a controller.
Oh, okay. Well, that might be smarter to use, but it wouldn't let me out, and I had to reload the game there. And that was just ridiculous. And you know, again, a game-breaking bug. I've been trying to think what else I had. Well, something as well. You get into these vents, obviously, and sometimes your character drops a little bit to drop to the lower floor. And I had this one section where every time I would drop, she would scream as if she was dying. That was really awkward. Yeah, just very, very, very weird stuff and annoying stuff as well. And sometimes, like I said, even game breaking, where I actually had to reload. And it's just annoying. I mean, nobody's actually mentioning anything about the bugs, so I'm actually wondering. I mean, you've been playing for only a little bit. You have actually not experienced any bugs.
Yeah, I have yet to experience any bugs at all. No.
Yeah, in the section when I compared to where I played until you, I only experienced one. Which was the one immediately in the beginning. Now the game has been patched. However, still, I played afterwards and I got cutscenes that were missing, and I had that issue where I got into the computer screen and couldn't log out. So, very, very, very messy in that way, and even to the point where I was thinking like maybe actually putting this game up for most disappointing thing of 2014, not because it's necessarily a bad game, because when it, like I said, when it does the alien things, I'm having a blast, but the experience keeps getting ruined by all these things that absolutely get me out of that experience. And because I want it to be so good, it feels all the more disappointing that it's not. I mean, review-wise, the game has been getting quite some mediocre scores. I've seen some 5.8s, some 6 point something. Highest that I've seen is a 7 point something. So, you know, some other people are giving some critique, but none of it is for bugs. And yeah, it is just annoying. Yeah, that's pretty much all I gotta say. I mean, like I said, you haven't really played as much. I mean, I'm guessing you really like it up until now, right? I mean, you really haven't done anything yet.
Yeah, I haven't. I've walked around the ship and found a dead body. And that was about it.
Were you scared at all? Were there any scares that you found?
A little bit. I don't know when the alien's supposed to come out at you, so I was like waiting for it. Like I thought maybe a little sound was a fucking alien gonna come out of the wall and kill me. So I was like, oh god.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't really, yeah, I haven't gotten that far, so it's like I didn't know when.
Yeah. It was really funny because I am quite difficult to scare, and I kept saying that in the videos where, of course, the game kind of tries to do that, you know, with loud noises in the beginning when you enter that ship. There's that fire explosion. Didn't scare me at all. But what's really funny is that in the later portion, and this is also in the trailer, so not really a spoiler, there will be a similar thing where there will be a fire explosion, and that one absolutely got me. And it is because the terms of the situation where you're in when that happens is very different, and that scared the shit out of me. It was almost as if the game said, "Hey, K0noa, you weren't scared about that first flame? Guess what? Fuck you. I give you the finger," and did the same thing, and they got me. That was very effective. But yeah, I cannot wait to play again. I'm gonna play after we're done with the podcast to continue. The game is actually very long, and I guess we'll do another discussion about the game where you're actually further in next week. Since in terms of games that are going to come out next week, there's not a whole lot. I think the biggest title that's going to come out is The Evil Within, and like I said before, I've heard some pretty bad stuff about that. But another game that looks pretty interesting that's going to come out is Legend of Grimrock 2, mostly also because I played Legend of Grimrock 1 on my channel a long time ago. But we'll talk a little bit more about that next week. I'm actually thinking of getting into some news stuff. Like I said, we have a trailer, but since we're talking about aliens now, let's actually talk a little bit about a news topic, or it's not really news, but some of you guys asked us to kind of come up with these topics and actually have a little bit of a discussion about it, and I thought that was a good idea. And today I kind of wanted to talk about how a lot of games nowadays come out and they say it's a full release, the game's done, and immediately get a day one patch, or there's a note like, oh no, this mode is not yet in here, we will patch that in later. I mean, we actually saw that literally with Arma as well, right? Where the story mode was not actually implemented on the day of the full release. That would come out in episodic content.
Yeah, maybe it's because it wasn't really focused on it. I'm not really too sure. Because I don't think their first intention was a huge campaign at all. I mean, Arma's not really been known for campaigns. It's been known for online and user-built missions and shit.
Yeah. Especially if you compare it to... Well, Arma 2 had a very, very ambitious campaign, which completely failed. And in some terms, it was too ambitious in what the creators wanted. But if you compare it to the campaign of Armed Assault, those are just really just all different scenarios linked to each other in just the flimsiest of ways. But if you, for example, look at consoles, there it is actually also very common nowadays to release it and actually have patches. And I just don't like the fact that game creators now release games that sometimes really, don't feel finished and really actually need a lot of polish left. I mean, there is now the early access available, I think that is a good cover up for that, right? So you have the thing that says, okay, this is early access, this game is not done. Okay, you know this, so buy at your own risk. But when a game is actually said to be full released, that's kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been talking about the Battlefield, right? You did you buy Battlefield 4?
Yeah, I had Battlefield 4 and I put it for a long time, but it just had a lot. Well, not really that long, but it had a lot of issues with it, like with net code and bullets not hitting like targets and shit. It had a
Mm.
lot of issues.
So that should be patched, and then you get messages like, well, okay, no, if you go back and play it now, now it's stable and everything. But that's
Like,
bullshit. Like I wanted to play it when it came out.
yeah,
That's
like I had that with Dead Rising. I had an issue.
that Rising
Like
3 is that
yeah, I
yeah.
mentioned that. I think I mentioned that last podcast, but yeah, I had an issue where my graphics card was unsupported because this is only the 880s or and 890s are only a few months old, and it was unsupported for Dead Rising 3, and it got to the point where the game was unplayable because it would crash every few minutes.
Mm.
So they're like, "Hey, yeah, we know we have this issue. We're working on the patch, but you guys didn't think ahead at all and just have support for all like newer graphics cards? I don't understand."
Yeah, in terms of that, it's stupid. It's also during the summer I've been playing all these older games and they have already been patched, so they actually ran very stable and very smooth. And it's now again that I realize where with Shadows of Mordor, with Alien Isolation, that we're getting into those newly released games yet, and we do indeed see, well, okay, they need some fixing, they need some polish. Now, I guess it's a little bit more forgivable in terms of PC because every PC is a little bit different, but for
Mhm.
consoles, that is just that's just weird. I guess in a way, I gotta praise Destiny because even though the game has been getting a lot of critique where it's like the story is lame and it's not that interesting, I haven't heard any issues with the netcode for
Well,
Destiny.
yeah, look at the company though. Microsoft has been they're pretty anal when it comes of games being compatible and working straight. And plus, you don't see a lot of issues of console games primarily, just because like they're I don't know, it's like a closed source basically
Mm.
compared to the PC where it's more complicated. I guess you can say. I mean, there's a lot more issues can happen on a PC than a console game.
Yeah, even in the consoles, you still have that issue where it will get a day one patch or something, and it's just it feels a little bit sloppy. I just bought a game and immediately it's done. Nope, download this update for this and this and this, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like finish it when it's done. And if there's a very serious issue that comes up, then that's fine. I mean, I remember that um a fucking Nintendo fucked itself really hard with the Super Smash Brothers for the 3DS, where some players got banned actually for playing online. I don't know if you've heard about this. It's very interesting. So the character Peach has an ability where I think she picks a turnip out of the ground and can throw it as a weapon. But every so often, there's a slight chance that she will actually, instead of a turnip, she will pick up a random item, and you can use that. Now there is a mode online where you can set it to that items are not allowed, and characters that would play Peach, she would still sometimes pick up an item, and those players will be banned.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, they're really anal about their terms agreements for online games. Like, if you single someone out and just go against them, you can get banned for that. I mean,
Really? Wow.
yeah, you should read that. Let me discuss. I'll try to bring it up and yeah, I'll show you. But it's ridiculous.
That sounds interesting, though. Yeah, I didn't actually know. Like, I mean, it's been getting a great hit. I mean, for the people listening, we at our university, of course, all the versions are in Japanese here. Though I heard, is that true that it's also in English support here? I'm not too sure. I haven't actually got the game
Uh,
itself, but anyway. Oh yeah, no, we were talking about that last time where you had Bravely Default, and that was in English,
yeah,
right? Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So I don't know
Only
if that's
there's
for the Super
I
Smash
don't
Bros. though.
think so. I
Okay.
don't think so. I think the only two games that can confirm and know for a fact that are like that are the newer Pokemon games
Mm-hmm.
and just Bravely Default. I'm
Yep.
unaware of any other games. If someone knows, they should totally post in the comments, but
Yeah.
I have no idea besides that.
But like there are a lot of Nintendo fans in the lounge at our school, and they've been playing that game nonstop. I mean, I like Super Smash. But like I loved it on the Nintendo 64 and on the GameCube, and the Wii version. I really did not play a whole lot. I really thought that wasn't very interesting. And this version, I haven't actually even seen some reviews, but yeah, I don't know. I thought the perfect version was the GameCube one, and that's all it took. I mean, I think some of the characters that they added in the fucking new one are completely dumb, like the Wii Fit lady, um, and some other characters. But that's kind of besides the point. I think we were talking about the whole internet thing, right? To come back to that. Um, yeah, I don't know. I mean, like I said, early access, you can get away with that sort of shit, where you can say the game's not ready yet. It gets a lot of patches, and there are games that actually really do that well. The Forest is an example where I think that the patches it gets patched absolutely regularly. Like every month there's a patch, and it adds a lot of new features. Um, and gets rid of a lot of bugs where in the beginning it was buggy as shit, and it's still kind of unstable, but at least they're being worked on. And because, like I said, it's early access, um, I didn't really buy it. So this is kind of interesting. I guess in a later podcast we can talk about early access as well, because you are obviously kind of a fan of early access, and
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
yeah,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
I said, yeah, I want to do. I eventually want to make a series for Steam Early Access games and make reviews on them because you don't see a whole lot of reviews besides the word like comments you get when someone buys a game and then you can make a review on Steam. So I want to make actual videos of it showing what's wrong with it compared to just seeing some dude's second opinion writing when he's writing it down. I can show you like perspective of issues is wrong with the game. So yeah, eventually I want to do a series on it, but
Yeah, you were talking about doing the first episode this weekend, though. Are you still planning that?
yeah, I think I was gonna go ahead and do IL-2 Stormovic Battle of Stalingrad because I'm just still getting into that game.
Mm.
So far, it's really good, so I do want to make a positive review on it.
All right, that's good. Yeah, I mean, begin positive. I guess that's easier. Um, but yeah, I think it's a good discussion in the future as well, because I was at first a big fan of it, early access, but I forgot which game it was, but I got a little bit burned by it. Um, I think it's also with Arma 3, where I was kind of underwhelmed when the game was fully released. So I bought it when it was still in alpha, right? And I got that beta update and the full release, and every time just a small bit got added. And when the full release was there, everybody was like, "Yeah, full release," and I was like, okay, I had the game for a while, and small things have been added, and it didn't feel, I don't know, as accomplished as if I would have then bought the full game out of nowhere and got all these new features. In a way, I kind of wanted to experience that Minecraft feeling, right? Where, I mean, Minecraft really was the first one that got that big, where there were new things added over time, and all these YouTubers, I'm looking at you, Yoxcast, got huge because of this. Um, and I guess that was such a hype that so many people actually now want to be a part of it. And yeah, I've been burned about it a little bit, but with like the forest as well, where I was first so enthusiastic about the forest. But I've been playing it a lot when it was absolutely just a bare skeleton of what it is now. But I've played so much of it now that I'm kind of bored with it. Even though new features have been added, I'm not that much interested in it anymore. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I'm very careful nowadays when it comes to buying early access. But like I said, I'm still really liking the idea, and I know that a lot of people are really interested as well. If you look at the top sellers, there are a lot of early access games in there. I mean, I think we were talking about the game Life is Feudal, or whatever the fuck it's called. Um, that medieval sim. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you recommended it to me. So, um, that's an early access. We might look at that. I guess in terms of early access, I'm gonna stick to now multiplayer games where I can actually play with you guys instead of getting burned myself. Though there are of course very good examples of early access. I think, and I could be wrong with this. I think Prison Architect is an early access game, but I think that got really good scores. A game that I was actually really looking forward to, but I hold off on buying was the game Escapists,
Hmm.
where you are in a prison and you need to escape. And but I basically saw that in the first version, like there were story elements not implemented. There were certain jobs that were not implemented. They added new prisons later on, and I'm kind of happy that I didn't buy it. Now that I'm actually talking about it, it's also because I forgot about the game. But actually, now that I'm talking about it, I kind of want to play the game. Kind of want to buy it. But I'll see you when I do that. I'm actually going to, after this, I'm going to look up the specs of it, see how updated it is, and then actually make my judgment of whether to buy it or not. It can of course also really bite you in the ass because have you heard the story about the Stomping Land? Do you know what that is?
Yeah, I heard about that game. Oh, I know what it is. Didn't really have plans to buy it just because there's too many survival games coming out right now,
Mm.
and they stopped updating it. And a lot of people made inquiries about it, and it turns out like I don't know, it's being hush hush, and they haven't released an update in forever.
Correct.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I mean, I have you. It's kind of rare to hear that like cash grab shit,
Yeah.
but in terms of Stopping Land is one of the ones I heard of recently. But I don't know, maybe there's just a few exceptions that.
I mean, they literally ran with the money. Like the Steam got rid of that game. You actually cannot buy Stomping Land anymore on Steam. So for the people there who want that tough love, there was a
Yeah,
game that was called Beasts of Prey, which was the same kind of idea. Um, that one is still there, and that one is being updated, I think. But
yeah,
again, it is a survival game, and I was like, there's so much of that, I'm not too interested.
yeah, yeah. That one's been getting some positive reviews though.
Has it? Okay, good.
Yeah, it,
I like dinosaurs, so that was why I was interested in those games.
yeah.
Do you like the survival game genre though?
Um, yeah, I played quite a bit of them. I have the Force, but I actually haven't played it yet. It looked really good, so I bought it, and I don't know.
I think if you had never played it before and you're going to play it now, it is a very cool experience. They've added a lot of new stuff like buildable things, new enemy types, animal types. It is a lot more polished than what it was before.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, okay, so in terms of that, yeah, that's that. So I guess that comes kind of the news. So let's go to I guess now the final thing, which is the trailer. Now I've sent you a trailer, and but you've seen it before already, and I
Yeah,
and I saw the date of the video just now, and it was actually before we've done the first podcast, so you might have actually seen it then before that already. But there is now actually on the internet, and I will link the description. No, I will link the link of the video in the description down below, so you can check it out for yourself. And there is actually video footage available now of the Mount and Blade 2 Bannerlord engine, which is of course Mount and Blade 2, even though we had Warband and with Fire and Sword. Um, but it is the follow up to Warband or to Mount and Blade. And up until now, there were all these screenshots available, but no moving images. And so now we actually do have video footage, and I do have to say that the game looks very cool. I wouldn't say that it looks, cutting edge in terms of graphics, um, but definitely knowing what is going to come with all the mods, I cannot wait for that game, and it's going to be cool too because everything in that game is pretty much bigger in scale. So all the battlefields are bigger, the cities are bigger, and so I'm really going to enjoy playing the vanilla game first and then watching all those mods come out. Yet what is weird is that I think some mod creators already have the mod tools because on mod database there are already pages of mods being made for that game, and one of them is actually a Roman, like an ancient Rome mod. Um, But in the trailer that Cody and I studied, you can kind of see how the mod tools work, and it seems to be easier than ever. Now, I'm not a modder, right? So, I to me it's all just a bunch of gibberish, but they pretty much seem to present it in a way where it seems very easy to do, more easy than ever, and I just cannot wait for all those new mods coming out for that, and with bigger scale battles and fields. It's gonna blow me away. They're talking about having better scripts too, to actually have more interesting battles as well, with ambushes and everything like that. I mean, Cody's actually now taking part in a Mount & Blade series as well with the Warband with Shy and me, which is actually very cool. There are a lot of mods available for Mount & Blade and Mount & Blade Warband, and ironically, the one that we are doing, the Full Invasion, which is that that horde mode-ish mode type, kind of combines all those factions of all those mods. I mean, you have pretty much every uh, thinkable timeline of a total war game. So you can fight with the ancient Romans, with medieval units, Napoleonic units. What do we have? Samurai units.
Yeah.
But also weird things like Star Wars characters or Starship Troopers characters, zombies. You have My Little Ponies in there, for
No,
Christ's sake.
no, thank you.
Yeah, for all those. Cody's not a brony, apparently.
Hell
But
no, hell no.
there, there are some bronies out there. You might get them if you do a let's play of a game.
No, no, I'm good.
All right, but yeah, I just cannot wait, and especially, of course, somebody please, since it's now easier to make mods for that game, and I mean the creators acknowledge that as well. They acknowledge that part of why their game has gotten so big is because of all the mod support. And I really love when people do that. I guess that the creators of Evolve, which of course also made Left 4 Dead, probably will add mod support there as well. And I really appreciate when creators allow mod support, because it just, it can really make a game so big. Arma does it too. And I cannot wait for the day when we are getting the next Star Wars mod for Mount and Blade 2 Bannerlords. That is going to be fantastic. Now, I want to kind of hear your opinion about it. Like, I mean, you haven't played a whole lot of Mount and Blade Warband, right? You bought the game last week,
Yeah.
in order to play with us. Have you been playing it a little bit on yourself, single player or something?
I played a little, yeah, just a little bit by myself, but that was just to get the feel for the game.
All right. Like, let's be honest. The game looks pretty shitty. I mean, it looks old, but there are a lot
Yeah.
of units on screen. I mean, I think in Warband you can set the units up to like 150. I think so. You can have like battles of 75 versus 75. Could be wrong there though. But yeah, there are a lot of units on screen. So in terms of that, I think it kind of works. But what do you think if you look at this trailer? I know that you're also not too much into like modding yourself, I think, but
I'm just gonna wait. I don't want to say anything now. I want to wait and see how it turns out, and I'll decide, because I can't really distinguish stuff from just off a trailer. So
yeah. Do you think it looks pretty though?
yeah, I think it looks pretty good so far.
Yeah. So not indeed, like I said, not cutting edge, not blowing you away, but it looks decent
Mm.
when it does that. All right. So yeah. Like I said, people, in terms of this trailer thing, I'm not too sure if we're going to do that yet. We'll just see how things are. This is episode 2, so still at a very early stage. I'm pretty much done with all the topics, and it's also been like for 58 minutes, so I'm about to actually end it here. I have just one question though, and I actually didn't. I should have done this before. I didn't check a release list, but if I'm not mistaken, since we are in October, this is the month where Dragon Age comes out, correct?
I no idea.
Because the trailer was released though, where you had the character customization. Now I gotta admit though that I'm not going to play it immediately, because I do stuff on my channel chronologically, and I want to first play Dragon Age 1, which I did play, and Dragon Age 2, which I didn't. I own it though. But yeah, no, I was wondering like if it was coming out this month, which I think it does. But if you were going to play it, are you a fan of the Dragon Age games?
I played the first one. That was it.
All right, did you play it all the way through though? It was a long game.
Yeah.
All right. I put like 60 hours or something in there. It was ridiculous. Um, yeah, and I heard the second one was absolute shite, so that's why I didn't pick it up. But yeah, the third one actually looked pretty cool. It reminded me of an MMO with all these different areas. You know, you were fighting in the snow and the desert and jungle and blah blah, blah, and it looked really colorful. And it reminded me in terms of that. It reminded me of an MMO. But yeah, it kind of sparked my interest again. Even though the second one apparently is absolute shite, but yeah, I might look into that into the far future. I'm looking way more forward to The Witcher 3, which is a game where I might actually want to upgrade my system for. But that's not coming out until like February. I mean, there's so much shit coming out in February. Um, so yeah, that was pretty much about it. All right, we reached the 1 hour mark, so I guess that is it for today. Not a whole lot of news that come out, and also, yeah, I guess you didn't really play a whole lot this week. Like I said, we'll probably continue our discussion about Alien next week, right?
Yeah.
And in terms of checking out your channel, Cody's channel will of course also be linked in the description down below, and you're actually going to now start doing some stuff with your own series, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so that will probably happen this weekend. So please, everybody, check out Cody's channel. There will be exclusive content on there. And if you have any suggestions again for this podcast for K0po, you know, please tell us, and we will probably have like a different topic again that we will talk about next week. Maybe actually some big news will happen. So I'm actually looking forward to it. So alright, so that was it. So thank you guys for listening or watching, and we will see you guys next week.
Okay.